Welcome to our regular Board of Education meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Here.
Okay.
Here.
John Creed.
Here.
Scott Latham.
Here.
Brian Tobin.
Here.
In the event of an emergency, visitors are advised that they may exit this room from the one side door which leads directly into the parking lot. In the event of an emergency, everyone is asked to move away from the building. Do not attempt to leave in your automobiles, since this may cause traffic problems and block incoming emergency vehicles.
Thank you, Patty. Our first item is our first hearing of visitors. At this time, we request questions and comments be kept to agenda items only. Does anybody care to address the board at this time on agenda items? Pardon me? Matthew, up here, please. I will. Should I introduce him now? I'm not going to put any pressure on you, but do you want to introduce yourself now?
Sure.
That would be great. I know you are a student representative, so just tell us a little something.
I'm Matthew Masana, for those who don't know me. Student body president, senior, and so I am late.
That's okay. At the end of the meeting, you'll have, at the end of the meeting, Matt, you'll have an opportunity to talk about what's going on, and just know that we're here to listen to you, and you just bring us your thoughts, and whatever's going on in the school.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our consent agenda, which is approval of our minutes from the regular meeting of August 26th, our financial matters, which are our bills, our August treasurer's report, our monthly budget status report, transfers, extra classroom activity fund, for surplusing, copier and some classroom chairs. We have contracts, we have two contracts because in the addendum there's one. Consulting that makes a difference, and Hope for Youth, and there were no CSEs. So is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a question.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. John was second. What's the question, Judy?
I just, sorry I didn't ask earlier.
No, I was going to ask.
The contracts, consulting that makes a difference and Hope for Youth, what are those?
Professional development is
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah, the consulting that makes a difference is a professional developer who worked with us specifically in the areas that were identified by the state, that made us, it's not called SUR school anymore. But she worked with our faculty and staff in development of the inclusion model, of special ed areas dealing with students. And then the second one is the Hope for Youth. That's the counseling group that's out here. It was something that was actually approved quite a while ago, the agreement to do it. The contract just came in.
Okay. Okay,
So those are the two.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I have it here, if you want to look at it.
Oh,
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Why do I feel like I have one paper? Okay, at this point, we're going to establish our tax levy for the 2021 school year. So I'm going to read this exactly how it is. Is this a roll call, Patty, or just a vote?
Yeah, that's just fine.
Okay. In June, the taxpayers approved the 2021 general fund budget in the amount of $31,010,000. The tax levy associated with this budget is estimated to be an increase of 1.47% from the 2019-2020 budget. I need a resolution establishing the tax levy for the 2021 school year at $27,600,000. Judy, second?
Second.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Old business. Dr. Moore.
We've been trying to schedule a building committee meeting, but we ran into a couple snags. We believe we have a couple more days, which they went out to everybody today, so hopefully we'll be getting together and meeting for that one.
Okay, that brings us to the superintendent's report, and I know
So.
I know you got a lot to report on
Yes,
the last few weeks.
You know, the opening of school, although delayed, and as much as we were all very disappointed with the delay, both the distance learning piece and the interaction with our students and being able to work through some of the technical issues that we had, and then the kids coming in, have gone as smoothly as I guess they can during this day and age, with having to reroute every bus and having to reschedule and reformat every classroom, having cameras and microphones and such in classes, which we never had before. We ran into a couple of bumps. I can tell you that when the kids came back, the opening of school became like a really positive thing. Our kids are helping our adults in the rooms, because the truth is, they live in this tech world better than we do. They understand it better than we do. They have helped many of our teachers feel more comfortable, and then our teachers have really done yeoman's work in stepping outside of their comfort level to try to do things. There's very few people that were trained to teach this way. Actually, there was no people that were trained to teach this way. Yet our students and our teachers, as I walk around the building, are working together to manage situations that are really not ideal. So the opening, it's been wonderful having kids back in school. I've had a great time getting around both of our buildings and speaking with and seeing some kids, and they're really excited to be back, and it's something that we're real happy about. Distance learning, I think it'll be an evolving model, one that will evolve throughout the year. We got to get into distance learning a lot faster than we ever thought we would, because we were out of school. We're going to be putting together a survey and sending it out, because we'd like to get some feedback for how it worked with families. We did get some feedback from individual families and students. It seems that we've had the ability to be a little bit more interactive with the ability to plan than we were in the past. So we had some good back and forth between our students. We've identified, some tech needs, which we were able to remedy. We increased our bandwidth so that we won't be running into some of the issues that we had in the past. And like I said, we hope to finalize some surveys at the end of this week about distance learning and hybrid learning, and send those out next week so that we can try to get feedback and continue to look at the practices that we're engaging in and what could possibly be done. I do believe that in some cases, when I talk to some kids, they're very, it's wonderful talking to kids, because you ask them a question and they give you an answer, whether you want it or not. These aren't ideal times, and they're not ideal situations. I wish that we had ideal situations, and I wish that we were living in ideal times to be able to educate. But, I do believe that everybody is really working hard and working together. And as one of our teachers put it, I know that my kids are going to help me get through this year in a way where I can provide them with what they need to be successful in school. And that's really kind of how we're doing it. We're relying on each other, and we're working together to get it done.
Maybe you could take a minute and explain about the delayed opening and the Department of Health's role
Sure.
in that, and about why we had to close. It wasn't
Yes.
because we had two cases. I think there's a lot of confusion out in the community,
Yes.
and maybe you could take a minute to explain.
Absolutely. So
Please.
when we had all of our faculty and staff meetings, we broke them into, instead of having one meeting, we broke them into two, because we couldn't hold enough people in this room and socially distance with masks to comply with the state guidelines. We broke them into two different meetings, and over a course of 2 days, we had a lot of smaller group meetings, some smaller group training sessions for the tech pieces that we would need, like Google Classroom and how to live stream out of your room and all those types of things. But we did have two large group meetings each day. We had we had employees late in the week test positive. They notified us over the weekend, and we immediately notified the Department of Health. The process that we have to follow, now they've actually added paperwork to it, which I received today, but they've given us a process to follow in writing. The process is, if we're notified, we automatically contact the Department of Health. The Department of Health should know already, because any healthcare worker that's testing has to notify them of any positive test. In this case, they did know. We then have to provide them with whatever information they ask for. They did verify that we distanced correctly, we had our masks on at all times, but they felt that since we had longer indoor meetings and since this was the very beginning of the year and one of their first cases, that they should be overly cautious. So they quarantined a large number of our teachers and clerical and bus drivers and nurses. Because over the 2-day period, they were at meetings with the people that tested positive. They quarantined so many of our teachers and administrators and bus drivers and other employees that it was impossible for us to open school. I spoke with them, I would say, in excess of 7 times, Sunday and Monday over the weekend. At about 3:50 on Monday afternoon, they told me that the 86 people that were at one of those meetings would be quarantined, which then completely eliminated the possibility for us to open school. We could open school, but we couldn't bring our kids in because I had no bus drivers. And you can't open school without a nurse, and I had no nurses. So we were in a spot where we couldn't safely open. So that's when we switched to our remote model. You know, our remote model, what we did was we did simple interactions, testing of technology, some SEL type work. I was on numerous Google Meet calls in those first 3 or 4 days after switching one of our days to a conference day. And then the following week, we started with our remote schedules. We have very defined schedules that students and faculty and staff have to follow. And we followed those for the next 4 days, and then on Friday we came in. So we've had numerous follow-up conversations with the Department of Health. The Department of Health, you know, they've been very candid in saying, you guys were one of the first cases. You know, that's why it took so long to get an answer. They also want to be extremely thorough. They also had the luxury of the fact that kids were not in school over the holiday weekend when they were making these decisions. They are making decisions faster now. My colleagues that are superintendents in other places, they tell me they're making decisions faster now, especially when they're during the week. But I believe it's a learning, growing process for all of us. I believe that they, you know, although I may not completely agree with some of their decisions, and I don't understand some of their decisions, I believe they're trying to act in the best way that they can to keep all of us safe. You're welcome.
Important to get that
You're
out
welcome.
there. And did you want to elaborate a little further if a staff member tests positive, what will occur? It
Sure.
wouldn't necessarily be closed down again.
We don't.
That's a question
Yeah.
that's circulating.
We've changed process-wise the way we do some things this year. Some from that first day till now, and some we changed earlier on. We no longer have like monthly faculty meetings because that puts the whole faculty in one room at one time. You know, our beginning of the year meeting is typically a little bit different, and I did believe that if we were going to safely bring children in, we could safely have that meeting. You know, clearly I wasn't right, but, you know, if I were to say test positive, then what they would do is they would say, okay, who did you have close contact with this week? They would define close contact, I would tell them. It would probably it would probably create the necessity for about 8 or 10 of our employees to be on quarantine, and then school would continue the way it is. They would come in and sanitize my office and any other place that I've spent a large amount of time in. You know, we have the UV lights and we have you know, the sprayers and everything to sanitize very quickly areas of our school. But the way it's done now is we're all kind of portioned into different areas. You know, walking down the hallway with my mask on and other people walking past me would not create the necessity for those people to have to quarantine. If I had a 45-minute meeting in my office with somebody to plan something, then the Board of Health, the Department of Health may quarantine them. They may not. You know, I sit on the opposite side of the table from people when I meet with them regularly, 15 feet away. So the Department of Health, you know, they ask you if your windows are open. They ask you what kind of filters you had in. And they do ask you a lot of thorough questions. But we would contact them. They would say, this group of students and these groups of adults are quarantined, and the rest of school can go on as soon as you can clean and sanitize your school. And that would be the objective if we do have positive cases in the future. would be that we wouldn't have to shut down school. You know, the fact that we had a positive case 48 hours after our first meeting was a bit of a fluke, and it was the only time this year that could have possibly happened. And then we got lucky and it happened. So,
Thank you for clarifying that.
you're welcome. Yes.
That's all your report, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we have some personnel. I'm going to have to find mine. Mary Catherine Trolls, our new elementary teacher, effective September 2, 2020. Leaving the district, Jania Langendale, revised childcare, effective September 2, 2020 through November 24th, 2020. Employees entering the district full-time temporary, Richard Pisacano, it's a revised date. He's a leave replacement, so it was effective September 2, 2020 through November 24th, 2020. And then we have Kevin Kowalski's effective retirement date changing to June 30th, 2022, which I think it had been January, if I'm not mistaken. So that goes to June 30, 2022. And I believe that's all of the superintendent's personnel recommendations.
Childcare.
Childcare leave.
On the agenda.
General. She's on the addendum.
I have the addendum right here.
Bottom one, let me, here you go. Bottom one,
Okay, so we have Jennifer Molly childcare leave effective January 4th, 2021 through May 21st, 2021. Any questions or comments on the personnel recommendations? Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Finance committee report?
No report.
Building committee report?
We're going to be having a meeting shortly.
Policy committee report?
I am recommending policy number 4528, remote learning and acceptable use for adoption, as our first read was on August 26th.
Did we get this out to the student body and the parents?
I was
As best
posted on
we
our
could.
website the
Okay.
day after the
Yeah,
last
it was
meeting.
on
Okay,
there.
yeah, I did see that. Okay, great, great. So Scott made the motion. Is there a second for adoption for this policy?
Second.
Second by Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
New business? Anybody got any new business? All sorts of new business with this new school year. No, nobody's got anything? That brings us to our second hearing of visitors. At this time, we will take comments and questions about any kind of school matters in general. Oh, here it was. Does anybody care to address the board? You guys? Got nothing. We answered all your questions, didn't we? Did we answer them successfully? Okay. Nothing, Angela? Okay. All right. This is a quick meeting. That brings us to our board member commentary. Matt, we're going to start with you. You want to share anything, like how's school going for you?
School's been a pleasant surprise, actually. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it is, and it's actually comfortable, and I think everybody feels really good about it. I think one complaint that the student body just had prior to the school year starting is, especially with that whole chaos in the beginning of the year with someone testing positive and then maybe not starting, I think a lot of the students felt kind of in the dark about a lot of it, because we had to get the information off our parents, and a lot of our parents work. And then information wasn't coming to us for like the next day or a couple days after, and we were hearing from our friends, and we really didn't know much about it. So I think a lot of the students, especially the older students, just thought they might want to receive those emails too. Be kept in the loop a little bit about those things that kind of pertain to us. That's it.
That's a great suggestion, actually.
Do you check your school email?
Yeah, yeah,
Because you all, everybody has school email, that's how we use Google Meet, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Besides that, it's been great.
What days are you in, Matt?
I'm in break so
Okay. So maybe we can talk a little bit about some of that.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great suggestion. Okay, as long as we're down at that end of the table. Mr. Latham?
Welcome, Matt. I just want, the surveys, I think, are a great idea, you know, especially as this goes forward and we hit bumps in the road. So I just want to commend the administration for staying on top of this and continually asking for community feedback instead of just waiting for it to roll in. I think that's the proactive thing to do, and it just shows that, you know, we're not standing up here funneling stuff from the state. We want to hear what everybody's saying. That's all.
John?
I'm happy that kids are back. Happy I'm getting stuck in traffic on my way to work. A big thank you to the custodial staff. I know this is they're really going above and beyond to keep this place clean and safe. So, Bill Metz and his entire crew, good work. And let's keep this place open as long as we can.
Brian?
Just like to thank the administration and the staff and all the personnel. This is crazy times, and they're doing a great job trying to wade through it. So just can't thank them enough.
Okay, I'm going to be a little obnoxious. Dr. Morrow, you said that you brought the whole staff in, two groups because you thought you were safe. And then you said, well, obviously I was wrong, but you weren't wrong. Although we quarantined, there were no further cases, which means that you did have our faculty and staff in here in a safe manner, even though there were other people who had the virus. And we got through the 14 days, and everybody was still healthy. So no, you were not wrong. So I just felt like I should say that. And I as well would like to just thank everybody, staff, everybody's working so hard for especially the opening of school to go so smoothly, and I appreciate that. And I shout out to the parents and the students as well, because I think that they've also been really good about just trying to be flexible, be patient, and to understand that everybody's doing their best. So thank you to everybody involved. It makes me proud to be a part of this board. Thanks.
I echo all the appreciation. I think it's going to be our mantra this year. Appreciation, communication, and patience. And I think it's important to note that there's no blame. And quite often in the world today, everybody wants to blame somebody. And there's no blame for what happened. There's no blame for what happened at the beginning of the school year. And I want to commend you because, you've been here for a minute. You've worked your tail off this summer to do what was in the best interest of our students, and that's what we're all here for. And then on a dime, you had to spin, and you and your staff and your administrators had to go to Plan B. And I'm really proud of our district and how they handled it. Like you said, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't ideal, but we've never had this situation before. So as things occur, it's going to go back to that patience thing. There's just no blame. And we'll do the best that we can, and hopefully these kids are going to have a great school year. And that's all I got to say. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.